From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Local 4 Live. I'm Nick Monticelli. Thank you for joining us here on Local 4 Plus, YouTube, clickondetroit.com, and all the other multiple platforms you can find us. If you need to get out the door, take us on the road. Listen as you're driving. Don't watch. I urge. Do not watch while you're driving. You can do that on the Click on Detroit app. Lots of conversations we're going to have here on this Thursday. We're going to start in our nation's capital, where Republicans are working to meet President Trump's deadline for passing his budget bill. And then over in Lansing, the State House is looking at ending the most frustrating parts of buying some concert tickets. We're talking about the Taylor Swift bill with lawmakers who happen to be sitting right next to me as we speak. You just can't see my camera yet. Then Jason is going to join us to talk about a very important anniversary that happened this week and why we need to thank Ohio for the Detroit Lions. I know, I can't believe I said that out loud. Now, if you're getting out of town or staying home, I'm curious, how do you celebrate this Independence Day holiday? Our question of the day, what are your 4th of July traditions? We're going to put up a QR code there right now. You can scan that and head over to our website, or just go to clickondetroit.com/vote to let us know what your traditions are. Let's take a live look over Capitol Hill on this Thursday morning, where House Republicans are racing to pass President Trump's massive spending bill before the 4th of July holiday. Early this morning, GOP holdouts ended the long stalemates and voted to allow the spending bill to pass procedural hurdles. Speaker Mike Johnson is hoping to hold the final vote sometime this morning. You're looking live at what essentially becomes a filibuster, non-stop discussion on the floor. Democrats are supporting some things. Republicans can only spare 3 votes. The most reluctant Republicans say they worry the bill could add trillions to the national debt. The final vote is expected to shape the future of Medicaid, border security, food stamps, and taxes for some people. President Trump is hoping to sign that bill by tomorrow, but yesterday he did say that it might not happen. Let's take a look at the stocks future boards right now. Futures holding steady as we speak, but of course that could change depending on the outcome of that budget vote. The market is only open for half of a day today. On Wednesday, we got to look at how private sector jobs fared, losing 33,000 jobs last month, badly missing its expectations for a 100,000 job increase. Many are worried this could be a sign of the economy that isn't as sturdy as investors believe. We're going to see what happens when those job numbers actually come out and when the shorter market day opens in about an hour and a half from now. Okay, now to one of the most frustrating parts of buying tickets for concerts or events. The long waits to get into that online queue, and then bots just buy up all the tickets and then hike up all the prices. The Michigan legislature is trying to crack down on that. A bipartisan bill just passed the House, and it was inspired by one concert in particular.
Vintage tea, brand new phone, high heels on, cobblestones. When you are young, they assume you know nothing.
Well, they are calling it the Taylor Swift bill, and it passed the House in a near unanimous vote. The sponsors of the bill right here in Nick's Nook, State Representative Mike Harris, a Republican out of Waterford, and State Representative Mike McFall, a Democrat out of Hazel Park. Thank you for joining me this morning. This seems like a no-brainer, kind of common sense piece of legislation, but it probably was difficult in the onset to discuss how this would all work. I'm curious, how does this work?
So it was, the laws or the legislation first was brought about last term. Mm-hmm. It was bipartisan there as well, but it never made it out of the Senate. It's based on an Arizona. Arizona had passed it. It was actually me and Graham Filler, a Republican who's no longer in the House. We're sitting and talking about it and the issues that we've heard from constituents. About buying tickets and what is it that we could do about it. So him and I came together originally last term and then reintroduced it this term with Rep. Harris.
The other Mike.
Yes, the other Mike. The other Mike. It's a very popular name. It's a good name. It's a very good name. So that's kind of how it came about, because I still hear from constituents. This is probably one of the most exciting piece of legislation I've passed, according to most residents that I've talked to, because I get more questions about this than anything.
This is the number one piece that the younger generations, millennials, care about.
The Swifties have to love this, right? We're trying to use as many musical puns as we can to, generate some traction with this. But it's it really has been very positive.
So what is the language of the bill? What does it actually do?
Yeah, so I mean, the kicker is this is already illegal at the federal level, right? So the Bots Act made this so we could try and rein some of this in. However, it's a very difficult thing to prosecute. You know, it's difficult to track these bad actors down, and currently the AG would have to file in federal court. This brings it closer to home for us. So as we work through this, and the fines were low, right? So we can work through this at the state court level. The AG's office is probably way more familiar and can navigate the state courts a whole lot better. This also creates a violation where we can charge $1,000 or $5,000 per ticket.
$5,000 per ticket.
Per ticket. So when these bad actors are buying up thousands, like what we saw with the Taylor Swift, I believe it was the Eras tour.
Yeah, it was.
You know, we saw tickets getting jacked up to like $10,000 a ticket. It was ridiculous. So this allows us to recoup and keep that money here in the state of Michigan instead of it lingering out in the federal level.
So how does this work jurisdictionally then? When you have, let's say, a concert that may be outside of the Michigan borders, does the law still work if you're buying, if the purchaser lives in Michigan, or does it fall to the state where the venue is?
So the venue always takes precedent, right? So whether the bad actors operate here in Michigan or whether they're actually buying up tickets for a concert in Michigan, I think the AG can find a venue thing to latch onto in either case.
So you kind of answered my next question then, because I was curious about not only jurisdiction, but if there's already a federal law, why is a state one necessary? But now understanding it's more about cutting red tape and allowing our local prosecutors to handle this versus the feds who probably wouldn't take something like this on?
Yeah, I don't know how many that the feds have actually taken on. So we wanted to bring this to the state level to allow our attorney general, because I mean, ultimately, this is a consumer protection bill, you know, because we're trying to help families being able to, I mean, because you get in there and you start trying to buy tickets for a family to go to a concert or any event, and suddenly, you know, you can't get the tickets and you go to a reseller and they're like double, if not triple the price, pricing them out for a lot of families.
I'll tell you, I was disappointed. My daughter really wanted to go to the show, and I made it happen, but I had to take her to Indianapolis to go see the show. I mean, how awful is it that I can't spend my money in my hometown in the States?
Yeah, we would much rather you spend your money here.
Sure.
You know, I have Pine Knob Music Theater in my district. You know, so this is in my backyard, and I can't even get original tickets to a lot of the concerts, right? It's by the time I get on, it's all on the secondary market, and these bots are buying up. You know, this is not to create another musical pun, but this is a reputation issue, right? And we can't continue to shake it off. But I mean, the reality is, when these bots buy this up, they instantly get transferred over to the secondary market, and it's an issue. It drives up cost, and the platforms are having difficulty with this too, and they want help. So, you know, Ticketmaster's come out and reviewed these. So has StubHub, some other major platforms, and they don't like these bad actors either.
Okay, so quick question then. It failed in the Senate the first time then, passed the House, now it goes back to the Senate. What do you think will happen?
So it didn't fail in the Senate, it just was never taken up. It just wasn't taken up. Because it is very popular. You know, I mean, it passed almost unanimously in the House. In fact, I think it got more votes this time around than it did the last time.
That's because of the Mike and Mike.
Yes, the Mike and Mike show. You know, and so now, because we worked with the Attorney General's office to make sure it was a tool that she could use, so that's what we introduced, and now it's heading over to the Senate, hopefully to be taken up this term, you know, because again, it's a consumer protection bill. You know,
seems like common sense legislation.
It does. It really does. And talking to constituents and people across the state, actually, because I'm hearing from people all over the place about this. Everybody wants it. Yes.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we have to talk about something that's a little less, I guess we can say, sexy, live on streaming here, but it still has to do with money, the state budget, in just a moment. Welcome back to Local 4 Live, everybody. We started our conversation this morning about the Taylor Swift bill and the Mike and Mike show here, which was a unanimous piece of legislation. I should say bipartisan, almost unanimous. Now we're going to put the wall in between you here. I can build some brick walls real quick and talk about the state budget, which missed a deadline, which doesn't really have any repercussions. Maybe it should, some argue. But October is the real deadline here.
Yes.
I know that most of you would like to see something finished by the end of summer, if not sooner. In your opinions, what are the holdouts? Why can't we get this budget passed right now? I'll start with you.
Sure. It's, budget time is always a contentious time. This year is not just an anomaly.
Right.
This is, it's always a lot of discussion. We're talking about huge amounts of money. I mean, our current budget's $83 billion. When I first got into the legislature from police work, that just made me cringe. Dealing with that amount of money it's insane, really, when you look at it. So there's so many little pieces to this that really have to be worked through. Obviously, right now, the school aid budget is the big issue. Schools want to know how to get their budgets done, and they can't do that without some help from the state government. So it's a matter of trying to find consensus. Sometimes that's a very hard thing to do. The Republicans have put forth a plan that would do records amount for school funding, school pupil funding, $12,000 per student. We've never seen that before. Now, we've made some huge progress, we think, in how that is all set up. We've changed the process quite a bit. We've removed some categoricals and then put the money into the hands of the local school boards so they can determine what is best for their district, their region, instead of the state mandating more and more.
So, okay, now the other Mike, now that there's one more important than the other here.
Right.
Reading some articles, it sounds like most Dems are pretty strongly opposed to the GOP's version of the education bill because there are some key items in there that discuss gender-neutral bathrooms and transgender athletics, and I think that may be some of the key sticking points here.
Those are some of the key sticking points. Keeping the cultural politics out of the budget process would be ideal. So that isn't something that we're in support of. We want to make sure that we continue on with the free lunches and the free breakfast for students because we know that students learn better when they have full bellies. And they're not concerned about food. We want to make sure that the mental health resources are still remain intact for our students because we know still coming out of COVID, even though it's been a few years, I mean, there's a lot of students that are still struggling, So those are some of the key aspects that we want to make sure are included in the budget process.
Okay, so where are our sticking points then, which we kind of started talking about here, but what do each of you on both sides of the aisle here need to do to get this to the finish line or get at least to a point where you feel like there was enough compromise?
Well, this is where Mike and I probably are thankful we're not on the appropriation side. We're on the policy side, right?
Yeah.
It's, a lot of these negotiations take place, and they're I don't want to call it secretive, but they're amongst the negotiators, right? So a lot of these things, in negotiations, they move here, they move there. And there's so many moving pieces. It's really hard for us to know all the details of exactly where we're at right now, right? But I can tell you those continue to move. I was disappointed. I think the House has done a great job in working on this. I was a little disappointed that the Senate ended session on Tuesday, and we were ready to stay pretty much all night and keep hammering this out.
That was my next question for you. Is there a sense of urgency in Lansing, understanding that our K through 12s right now are kind of flailing around, not understanding what their budgets are going to be, especially because the two versions of the education funding are so drastically different right now?
They are. And again, it's not unusual, right? I mean, we usually end up, when we first submit bills in the budget process, it's anybody that's done negotiations, there's usually this side, and eventually at the end of it, you find consensus in the middle, right?
But it would be nice, at least for those superintendents and school boards, to understand what their numbers are, because their fiscal year starts on Tuesday.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, there is a sense of urgency. but it's that meeting in the middle and an agreement that that still needs to come obviously together. But
do we just lock everybody in a room and throw away the key then?
Yeah.
That's how we do it in police work, right? Sometimes I feel like I want to bring more of my policing side into this, and I just bring all the parties together in a room and have food brought in and just stay there and duke it out and get it done.
Happens.
Right. Yeah. Stay there until it's done.
Yeah. Okay. Representatives, thank you so much for your time on this Thursday morning. Have a safe holiday week.
You too.
And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
And good luck with the Taylor Swift bill.
Thank you.
I'm sure a lot of people care about that.
We can't shake it off anymore.
And those bots just need to calm down.
He got his pun in. Actually, we'll be back in just a minute with the check of your holiday forecast. Plus, if you are staying around for this holiday, but you do want to get away, how about a staycation just an hour north of us? We're going to take a look at a great place, Lexington, not far from us, and some really cool places to visit, according to producer Mary and her photo apps. Welcome back to Local 4 Live, everybody. A live look now inside of Capitol Hill, where Republicans are working to pass President Trump's massive spending bill before the 4th of July holiday. You can see here Representative Hakeem Jeffries of New York has been speaking for more than 2 hours now. Speaker Mike Johnson had hoped to hold the final vote this morning. We'll see if that's actually able to happen. The final vote is expected to shape the future of Medicaid, border security, food stamps, taxes, and even more. President Trump was hoping to sign that bill by tomorrow. Well, many families heading up north or out of town for the 4th of July holiday, but some of you are staying right here at home. Well, how about taking a day trip to get that vacation vibe without having to pack your entire car up for the weekend? Let's head up north and enjoy the sunshine along Lake Huron and have a picnic at Ternary Park. Afterwards, just a short walk away, you can browse some local shops like the Gypsy Sailor. For lunch, try Wimpy's for some great burgers, or you can visit Cadillac House, which is a restored 1859 landmark. That's a restaurant and a bar. You can stay for the 4th of July fireworks happening tomorrow night at dusk, or on your drive back, check out Bunny's Frozen Custard. Now, I had to double check this script when I read it earlier because it is oddly specific. Producer Mary says if you're looking for recommendations on what to get at Bunny's, a simple vanilla cone with extra sprinkles is the way to go. I'm not sure about that. I'm a chocolate fan. Or you can take a chance on their flavor of the day. I am disappointed, though, Mary, because you showed me a picture of yourself indulging in the sprinkles. Why aren't we using that photo right now? No? Are you sure? I'll find a way to put it up. Producer Mary has done everything she can, Ashley, to avoid being on television. Yeah. We saw her hand creep in at one point. I forget what was. I think it was ice cream, actually, that was out here.
Oh, that could be.
It was donuts. That's right. It was donuts.
Producer Mary has the same kind of palate as my 3.5-year-old daughter. She would get the vanilla ice cream with extra sprinkles. Love you, Mary.
She's throwing shade at you while still being pleasant.
Well, even Nick was like, had to look at his face like, I'm not sure that's what I would order.
I know. Extra sprinkles.
But
Just
my
dip
daughter
the whole
would be
thing
all
in
about
sprinkles.
it. My son is the chocolate lover. My
Yes.
daughter, vanilla with sprinkles.
So where are you then?
I would be more the flavor of the day, probably.
Yeah, just see what happens?
Yeah, why not? Live on the edge. Yeah. Okay. I think we talked about this the other day. Like, I love anything caramel or like peanut butter. You know, those are my flavors for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it'll be ice cream weather today.
Do you have the melting forecast?
I'm not starting with the melting forecast.
okay.
I'm going to be a little more practical when it comes to travel.
The travel thing? Bah.
Well, I mean, this is, we were just talking about like day trips, via your car. Let's talk about for folks that they might be trying to catch a flight today, quicker travel that way, right? and maximize that 3-day weekend. And so 73 degrees right now at Metro, 70 in Pontiac, 75 in Grosse Ile, and 70 in Port Huron. So a nice, comfortable start. We did have a couple moderate delays down in Florida that could have possibly been weather related. Some scattered storms kind of rolling off the water there and across the Florida panhandle. But then as you take a closer look at, I think that would be Orlando's airport down there, moderate delays. And so really that's the only little trouble spot we're tracking when it comes to some of the major airports. Forecast planner, 87 for the afternoon highs today. That's what I said. It will be ice cream weather, and we will have plenty of sunshine to go along with it. I have to mention this isolated rain chance, but I mean, it is so minimal, and possibly a sprinkle or two in Washtenaw and Lenawee counties, and really that's about it. Majority of us will dodge that. And you'll see what I'm talking about here. There's that little blip, and it comes with the cloud cover, so that could just even be moisture well up into the upper atmosphere in the form of clouds. And then
as we put a frowny face on the graphic as it rolls through.
like the green one, like a little green blob, like the Mucinex guy. And then we have a couple little blips of green once again. But that fizzles out as it pushes into southeast Michigan come Friday night. So, I mean, the firework displays should be dry. Parades will be dry, but it'll be toasty, especially if it's a late morning, midday parade in your community. I mean, we quickly go from 60s at 8 o'clock to 80s by noon. So a quick warm up and we'll top out right around 90. Firework displays into the evening after that 9/12 sunset tomorrow, right around 80 degrees, mainly clear, mild evening, but not so mild heading into your Saturday and Sunday, cranking up that heat and humidity, low 90s. And so you might not want to be too close to the grill if you're grilling this weekend. I mean, absolutely grill for the holiday weekend, but just be smart about it because it's going to be hot out there. Storm chances do arrive as we head into the later part of your Sunday. Might have to nudge this up into Sunday afternoon, but as of right now, looks like more of an evening event that lingers Sunday night into Monday. So it's going to be the timing of that cold front still a ways away as we have to time that out over the next couple of days. But that's our next best chance of seeing showers and storms. No severe risk today. That was lifted by the Storm Prediction Center. So we'll have a chance for storms heading into the early part of next week with seasonal 80s returning.
All righty.
Yeah.
So it's July, midsummer. Did you know that we could see some, or will see some Lions preseason football already in this month?
In this month? Mm-hmm. You know, back in the day, that would be probably harsh for some Lions fans to be like, oh, the torture starts already. Not anymore.
Not right
We're
now.
excited. Like, we can't get enough Lions.
Nope. Let's take a live look over Ford Field. The first preseason game is July 31st. So,
Woo-hoo!
it isn't this month technically, but the end of it. It's giving us something to celebrate.
Down the field.
Go ahead, keep going.
No, that's all I know.
A very important anniversary in Lions history. Next, we're heading to the Local 4 vault. Jason Colthorpe joining us. Why do we have to say thanks to some state to the south of us? Good morning, everybody. I'm Nick Monticelli. Today, 2 people charged in a disturbing case of child abuse, which allegedly led to the death of their 9-year-old boy, are due in court. According to prosecutors, the boy's legal guardians, Sherman and Sambuquita Jones, hid the boy to cover up the abuse. He suffered broken bones and was severely underweight. The medical examiner found he died of untreated pneumonia. Prosecutors say Child Protective Services received multiple complaints about the couple. Both are due in court shortly after 8:30. Well, if you're watching us on the TV side of things, I urge you to turn over to Local 4 Plus for our streaming show, Local 4 Live, which is happening right now. Some great conversations happening in our next hour and a half. We're talking the Skeeter Meter with Ashley. Plus, Jason's going to join us here to talk the Detroit Lions and why we actually have to thank Ohio for this team. And at 9 o'clock, we're going to talk to the head coach for Oakland women's basketball about what the WNBA move to Detroit means to college sports.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Taking a live look at the House floor where Representative Hakeem Jeffries is still in the middle of a filibuster as House Republicans race to pass President Trump's massive spending bill before the July 4th holiday. Early this morning, GOP holdouts ended the long stalemates and voted to allow the spending bill to pass procedural hurdles. Speaker Mike Johnson hopes to hold the final vote sometime this morning. We'll see if that actually happens. Without Democrat support, Republicans can only spare 3 votes. Most reluctant Republicans say they worry the bill could add trillions to the national debt. The final vote is expected to shape the future of Medicaid, border security, food stamps, and taxes for some people. Again, President Trump is hoping to sign that bill by tomorrow. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Nick Monticelli. A very busy day here in the Nook ahead of the 4th of July holiday. Let's take a live look outside in Belleville, where many families are getting ready to head out of town for that 4th of July holiday, Independence Day. So that brings us to our question of the day. What are your 4th of July traditions? I'm curious. What's everybody doing? What should I do with you? Invite me along. I'll leave the Nook. As Metro Detroiters are planning all these things and what they want to do on this Independence Day, there are a few rules to know, though, about legally setting off fireworks. First off, You can't just randomly set them off whenever you want to. Can't do it. But in the meantime, let's talk to Ashley about not only the 4th of July, but really up north travel, because that's where a good chunk of people are going, either up north or west.
Right. You
I
just
should turn
try to
it
get
around.
closer
North
to
and
the
west this way.
water. Yeah. And so we're looking at a couple of things, what the camping forecast looks like, what the mosquitoes are going to be like this
The
time.
skeeter
of
meter?
year. We have the skeeter meter here. But we'll start with our camping planner. And
Okay.
so it's going to be hot, but you have to expect that in July, right? So sunny and hot for the 4th. You get the green light for camping really across the state. Staying rather hot and humid on Saturday. It's Sunday that gets a little iffy. Now, some folks might be packing up that tent in the morning and driving back home, and it's not an issue. But we have some chances for storms from the northwest to the southeast as the day progresses on Sunday. So if you were extending the holiday weekend into Monday, that could be a little iffy for folks that are popping a tent this weekend across lower Michigan. Now, you need to pack the bug spray, really no matter where you go, but I'll tell you where it's going to be worse. So the skeeter meter forecasting the amount of mosquitoes in the area, moderate across the Metro Detroit area through the long holiday weekend. As we look at Alpena's forecast, Saturday and Sunday, you might see a little uptick in the skeeters. And then as we look at Mackinac Island, Saturday might be a little more pesky than the other days. Now, out of all the places we're kind of flying to in lower Michigan, I think Traverse City will probably have the most mosquitoes in this forecast. And so you want to make sure you have the repellent. But believe it or not, Muskegon looks to have lower levels of mosquitoes. If you're heading to the west side of the state, well, you might not come back as itchy from the bug bites compared to some other places across lower Michigan. So now let's look at those water temperatures, because that's why folks a lot of times are traveling across the state. They're hitting the water. We have a lot of the inland lakes that people enjoy, but we're taking a closer look at our Great Lakes and the bigger bodies of water, the temperatures there, a lot of them rising into the 70s.
Those
the farther
look
north
great.
you go, 60s. Yeah, I mean, really refreshing water temperatures across the state. And so we'll give you a closer look at the actual forecast for the weekend. Here we'll be into the 90s going into your Saturday and Sunday with those storm chances late Sunday. Flying up, though, towards Alpena, that's where we'll be from the 70s to 90 Saturday, and then falling into the 70s on Sunday. Want to fly quickly over to Mackinac Island. You're looking at the 70s and 80s there. And then for folks that are going to be towards Traverse City, really on either side of 90, Friday and Saturday, and a smidge cooler Sunday with those rain chances.
Okay,
So the rain does hit northern lower Michigan first Sunday before
Yeah.
it works its way down here,
Gotcha.
because that's coming from the north.
So one skeeter hack that I found is actually pretty
Okay,
useful.
let's hear it, yeah.
You have to be sitting somewhere. You can't just be walking around. But fans.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Set
the
some
same with
fans.
flies, too. If you're putting a spread out of
Yes,
food,
right.
if you put fans by the spread of food, that less bugs are going to land on your food.
So good.
That is
So
a great hack.
No, maybe it's not a hack. I guess everybody knows it now.
Well, for those that didn't, you helped them out. One less bug bite is always better.
There you go. Thanks, Ash. Let's get back to those fireworks rules. Like I said, you can't just randomly set them off whenever you want. In fact, Michigan state law allows residents to light fireworks between 11 a.m. and 11:45 p.m. from June 29th until July 5th. Now, this is actually despite local ordinances. Local governments can set their own rules on timing, but they cannot keep residents from lighting fireworks during that period of time. Now, where can you actually set the fireworks off? You can only set off fireworks on personal property. They cannot be on public property like schools and churches unless you have permission from the owners of the organization. People 18 and older are the only ones who can legally buy fireworks from licensed stores in Michigan. And remember, never, ever let young children play with or ignite those fireworks, including sparklers. Keep a bucket of water or a garden hose handy in case of a fire or a mishap. And also, douse water on all fireworks after firing, even the duds. You can find a full list of the legal fireworks you can purchase and other great safety practices on our website over at clickondetroit.com. All righty, let's take a live look at Ford Field this morning. It's hard to believe, but Lions football actually starting this month in July. The first preseason game is against the Chargers on July 31st. So now we are used to seeing the Detroit Lions take the field here, or maybe the Pontiac Silverdome if you went to a game before 2001. But more than 90 years ago, they actually were not the Lions at all. They were the Portsmouth Spartans, and they played in Ohio. Take a look at this picture here. The Spartans back in 1932 when they did the unprecedented and beat the mighty Green Bay Packers. They were part of the very first ever NFL playoff game against the Chicago Bears. Now, flash forward to June 30th, 1934. The Spartans were bought by George Richards. Richards moved them out of Ohio and to Detroit. and then gave them a new name, the Detroit Lions. The purchase price, less than $8,000. In today's money, that's less than $195,000, which still isn't that much. Last year, Jason Colthorpe traveled to Ohio, to the city still that has great pride for that team and a kinship with the Lions of today.
You don't have to be a Lions fan to be a little awestruck as you walk into Spartan Municipal Stadium.
This is where it all started for me.
Gerald Cadigan is the athletics director at Shawnee State University in Portsmouth, which just acquired the stadium.
All the visitors that did not want to pay to come in would watch the game right from the levee.
If he looks like he could play a little football himself, that's because he did, starting on this field in high school, then at Penn State, and in the NFL for a short time. The university plans to revitalize this stadium, a new field, a new track, new opportunities.
Today's kids, do you think they get the sense of history the way you do, that this field goes all the way back to the 1930s? It's like nearly 100 years of history.
I think that's part of my responsibility and why I'm still here in this community, to kind of share that, to show them the old VHS videos of of football games and the history that has been here, and then to create new memories.
It's also not unusual for visitors to show up at this stadium, which is an historical site.
It's been on my to-do list for about 6 months now.
But what are the odds that on this day, a Lions fan from West Virginia would happen by?
No, I saw the original Lion King, Barry Sanders, when I was 7 years old, watching Monday Night Football on a black and white screen in my bedroom. And I fell in love with Barry Sanders, led me to the Detroit Lions.
And many years later,
come on in,
it led Justin Mooney here to the team's original home.
I'm getting goosebumps. I don't know if you can see that. Look at the history. You can just feel it in the reverb, the reverb off the walls.
We see a lot of Lion sweatshirts come football season.
Portsmouth Mayor Charlotte Gordon is literally walking us down memory lane. Along the flood wall, keeping the Ohio River out, is a mural depicting the city's history, scene by scene. And of course, the football team checks in right around the 1930 mark.
It is part of the fabric, part of the community memory of this town, that it was such an important part of our history that has been carried forth. And it's fun, even kids talk about it.
First of all, amazing story. Second of all, I am so glad that you got the memo that there are no ties allowed in the Nook.
Oh, of course, yeah.
We're just cats, just hanging out over here.
Well, I was in the middle of changing clothes anyway, so I figured, well, I don't have to put my tie in for a minute.
Don't go in the green room.
Nick's not wearing one.
All right, so let's talk more about this. First of all, I was kind of taken aback because I saw the shot that said Notre Dame on there.
Yeah.
And before I even saw that, I was kind of looking at some of the concrete there and how the stadium was built. And I was thinking, this seems like a lot like Notre Dame, just the way it's kind of laid out a little bit.
And just the history of it. Not Notre Dame College. There's a high school there, Notre Dame High School. I forget the official name of it, but they play their football games there now on Friday nights.
Okay.
So that's why you see Notre Dame on there. And then, of course, it's called Spartan Stadium. So there's all sorts of signals throwing you for a loop. But they were original, the Portsmouth Spartans. So that trip was just fun. I remember when the idea came about in our newsroom, Chuck Jackson this was a year prior to that, saying, you know, we should go down there to the birthplace of the Lions. And we weren't able to go the first year. And we just kept it on the notebook, top of the notebook, like we got to do this next year, and made the drive down there. And it was just to find out that the town, even though the Lions have been gone for 100 years, they're like, yeah, we connect with the Lions. They also connect with their Ohio teams too, but they also connect to the Lions. I went into a local bar that had all this original Spartans and then Lions memorabilia and things like that. So it was just really neat. And that stadium, that guy wasn't lying. You do get goosebumps because you walk up and down the hall there and they have plaques for all original Lions. And you're like, oh, this guy, I remember this guy. He played for the Lions. So he started here. And these guys, Jim Thorpe played in that stadium, not for the Lions, but in that stadium. It's really cool.
What I wanted to ask you, and you kind of started talking about it there a little bit, is there still is that pride, that sense of connection even now? Like people still will go. They're talking about it at the bars. They're talking about it as they walk around.
Yeah, the one of the bars we went into has a lot of the history like up on the wall. Some of the shots we took from it, if you see the shot of where it says the Spartans beat the Packers 19-0, that's from a bar we went to. And then also part of this too, we went to the local college there, Shawnee State, where they have one of the historians there has all kinds of memorabilia from way back then, and facts about how much you mentioned it as you were leading into the story. Just they only paid $8,000 to buy it and move it to Detroit, and then there's the history of, you don't get into where it's they were green, the uniforms are green down there, and then when they came here, and the owner's wife had, I think it was the wife, they'd come back from Hawaii, and she just loved the Hawaii blue that she saw out in Hawaii.
That's how Honolulu blue started?
Yeah. She said, I think you should make the jerseys blue. This Honolulu blue that we saw out there was just so lovely. She liked it. It became Alliance colors right there.
That's incredible.
And then I think they went to red for briefly a decade later, and they quickly were like, no, let's go back. Yeah.
Okay, so in Ohio, you've got the Browns and the Bengals. Do they have love for those teams, or are they more Lions fans, especially because we're so amazing now?
Yeah, no. That's what I said to a lot of people. I'm like, so who do you like more? Because Cincinnati was, I'm trying to remember which one was closer. I think Cincinnati was closest to where they are, but they're kind of in the middle of in between. And they go, no, yeah, we love both of our Ohio teams. We show, like, I said, which games, when I went to the bar, what game is on the TV?
Right.
That'll answer the question. And they said, the Lions are always on one of the TVs.
Really?
And I said, all right. But they do, obviously, a lot of people are Browns fans or Bengals fans. Yeah. And I just said, because I think we did this last year, and I thought, my prediction was, just my pie in the sky thinking was, this could be a Lions-Bengals Super Bowl. What are you going to do then? And oh, man, this town's going to go crazy.
Could you feel it when you walked in the stadium?
Definitely.
Yeah.
It was just really historical, because you can tell just by you can tell when it's an old stadium, and they've saved it many times where they made sure that it didn't get torn down or turned into something else. And Shawnee State has now bought it. They're going to play their college games there, and they're going to revitalize it and turn it into something where you can
keep that history.
Yeah, they're going to keep the history and do a lot more, replace the track so they can do lots of different things.
And the fact that the fan just showed up. Incredible.
It's just like, you're on a great story when something out of the blue like that happens. And it just happens to be a guy who became a Lions fan by watching Barry Sanders in a different state back decades ago, and is still a Lions fan. He talked about turning his son into a Lions fan. Yep. And they came up to a game last year. As a matter of fact, I think they went to I forget which game, but they made the trip to come see one of their first games.
Speaking of Sanders, did you see he's just signed that deal with Netflix?
I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, so we have another Barry doc coming?
Yeah.
I'm all day. If they run old
all
highlights,
day, every day,
I'm here.
Right? Yeah.
Every now and then we just go down the rabbit hole on YouTube. Barry Sanders highlights. I'm in.
Hey, by the way, we should point this out. Right now, the Detroit Lions are worth an estimated $5.4 billion.
Yes.
So
pretty good investment.
8,000 versus that.
Pretty good.
All right, thanks, man. Appreciate you. Don't leave me hanging.
I'm sorry.
We're in the Nook.
In the Nook. Not for long.
Not for long. It's true. Not for long. We have big changes next week. Okay, battling over a STEAM project. This morning, the new decision by Detroit's Historic District Commission and the response from community members. Welcome back to Local 4 Live. Detroit police looking for a man who shot another man on a DDOT bus. Take a look at your screen right now, unless you're driving in the car and listening to us. Police say the man on the screen shot a man, apparently for no reason. The victim is expected to be okay. If you know anything or especially recognize who this is, please call Detroit Police or Crime Stoppers. That number, 1-800-SPEAK-UP, and you can remain anonymous. Detroit Thermal is getting the green lights to install a heating system in Lafayette Park. The Historic District Commission approved the project near the Mize condominium complex during a meeting yesterday. We've been following the story since April, and as people are worried about construction that's close to where kids play and the neighborhood's history, residents have accused Detroit Thermal and the city of not truly offering them a seat at the table. The utility company denies those claims. The issue? Well, neighbors are worried about where the vent will be placed right next to the playground. Well, while the commission approved the plan, Detroit Thermal is on the hook for protecting the trees, and it needs to have a tree monitoring plan for a few years. There's also a lawsuit that has been filed. Royal Oak is rolling out something new outdoors. You're looking at smart bathrooms. They are at Centennial Commons, Lawson Park, and the Farmers Market, but they could get moved around. You need a phone to unlock it. There's a QR code to scan or a number to text. If you don't have a phone, access cards are at the library. As a warning, the doors unlock after 10 minutes. I have a lot of questions and probably not enough time to get answers to them. Heading to Mackinac Island today about being part of a world record attempt. A live look at the island right now. The world record it's attempting to break, plus some really cool events happening for the 4th when we come back. Let's take a live look over Mackinac Island this morning. Producer Mary is a big fan. People there are getting ready to try to break a world record. Today, they're going to try to skip a Waboba ball 7 miles around the island. Don't ask me what that kind of ball is. No clue. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is it? Well, here it is. Just a ball that can skip and bounce across the water. The relay toss is also going to start at Windermere Point and ends at Mission Point, where everyone will gather and celebrate. This is just one of many events happening on the island for Independence Day. Other things include classic games like the oldest stone skipping competition in the world and the watermelon roll. The weekend ends with a spectacular show of not just one fireworks display, but 2 of them on each side of the island. All right, let's get to the hard-hitting big question of the day.
Okay.
What in the world is a smart bathroom?
I know. I was like scratching my head. I'm like, I don't really know how that differs from a porta potty, other than that you unlock it from your phone.
I've seen some really interesting ones that like the bowl rotates and the floor washes itself.
Oh.
Yep, I've seen them like over in Asia.
Okay, we need more information on this.
Yeah, like what's the point of just? Are they tracking your bathroom time?
Just whoever
Royal
likes
Oak,
to,
I have questions.
If you like to take a long time in the bathroom, just note it unlocks after
10 minutes. That's all you get.
Just
finish up in 10.
Yes, finish
There's
up.
so many potty jokes I could say, but
I
might
was
get
going to
in
quickly ask,
trouble.
because you were talking about the watermelon roll up in Mackinac.
Yeah.
Have you ever been part of a watermelon eating contest?
I have not.
I
You?
did as a kid.
Oh.
And I
Were you
couldn't
the
eat
champion?
no, and I couldn't eat watermelon for years after that because I consumed so much. Now
much
I do.
was it?
I don't know.
A
I mean, I was
Yeah,
pretty young.
yeah.
Now I mean I eat watermelon again.
Sure.
I love it. But yeah,
Was it seedless?
I don't know. How are these questions? I would assume it was.
What if it wasn't?
I mean, I
What
wasn't
if you had
growing
watermelons growing in
my
your stomach?
Oh my gosh. Children. All right, let's go ahead. Mary's like, weather. Let's go ahead and talk about the weather. Temperatures are on either side of 70 across lower Michigan to start the day. Just kind of wanted to give you that broader view. You might be getting ready to head out and travel to other portions of the area, but our forecasted highs for today into the mid to upper 80s across the state. So right now, as we take a live look at Belleville, tell you lakes are going to be busy throughout the next few days because this forecast will be conducive to lake life. 73 degrees over at Metro Airport, 71 in Ann Arbor and Howland, 70 in Port Huron, or maybe you just book a tea time today, 87, and we're still holding on to the lower humidity. That doesn't really begin to creep back until tomorrow. So yeah, a nice warm summer day to hit the links. As we look at the hour by hour, smidge of a chance for a sprinkle late this evening down to our southwest, so that could clip Washtenaw, Monroe, Lenawee counties, but most of us dodge that, and then we'll get some more cloud cover come Friday night, but even that, with that moisture that you just saw off to our west, kind of fizzles out as it moves to the east, so I don't anticipate rain impacting our 4th of July plans. So the parades, they're going to be a go, dry, toasty, as we'll be quickly rising throughout the morning by the lunch hour, well into the 80s and flirting with 90 for the afternoon high. But you still might want to grab the umbrella at a parade just to protect you from the sun. We got quite a bit of that in the forecast. Now, once the sun sets at 9:12, temperatures will be right around 80, and it's going to be dry, mainly clear skies for those firework displays come Friday evening. So that's a quick look at that part of the forecast. But if you're firing up the grill, just know that we're firing up temperatures too. So stay hydrated by the grill. Try to stay cool if you can. 93 Saturday, 92 Sunday, and we do have a chance for some storms to arrive with an approaching cold front. So it's Thursday. We still have 3 days until this moves in, and I anticipate us to really fine-tune the timeline here. But I would say anywhere from Sunday afternoon to Sunday evening will be the onset of some rain showers rolling through the area with that cold front. This one pulling in a little later, but we could be bumping up that timing. But needless to say, we'll probably have some rain lingering into Monday in the wake of that front. But the front does bring some slightly cooler air. Not a drastic cool down, but back to reality. Seasonal temperatures were in the mid-80s for the first half of next week. So I'm telling you what, I mean, you don't want a cold 4th of July forecast. So here we go. I mean, celebrate summer.
Okay. Burger or hot dog?
Oh, burger, hands down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What kind of toppings?
Cheese, pickles.
Okay.
But it all depends on what the spread is. I mean, I like bacon on my burger.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I can add more, but I'm not a mustard person.
Neither am I.
See?
No.
Okay.
And actually, you know what my favorite is? Either barbecue sauce or steak sauce on a burger.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Although I'm weird, I don't like American cheese.
Yeah, that is kind of weird because that's like your typical cheeseburger.
I know. I have to be bougie every time I get like provolone or Swiss or something different.
The provolone, I feel like is well. Yeah, I'm surprised it's not like mozzarella, Nick Monticelli.
The mozzarella.
Off the rails today. You can tell it's right before
I have an energy drink. Director Michelle said I looked tired. After the break, we're heading up north. Live look in Harbor Springs right now. A lot has changed since those ice storms back in March. Next, what the DNR says about the work that still needs to be done, why schedules are changing, and what you should know before you head up north. Welcome back to Local 4 Live. If you're heading up north for the holiday weekend, you might see some damage from March's severe ice storms. Take a look at this map from the DNR website. You can see all the parks and campgrounds are now open. I'm not sure if that's a map or some video. We'll get you a map eventually. But the trails are still an ongoing process to clean up. Now, right now, about 60% of trails are closed because of the damage you see right here. This is video from the DNR showing the damage that the ice storm left behind. We talked to Jason Fleming with the DNR about what visitors can expect when they head up north.
The damage that's occurred from the storms is, in a lot of cases, these trees have been snapped in half. And so it's a lot of devastation, especially when you're looking at it from a forestry industry, trying to salvage wood and get those things out while you can. But then you're also talking about generational plantings that are put in. So the recovery is going to take a long time.
All right, now for some context here, according to the DNR, there are currently 1,200 miles of open trails here in Michigan, northern Michigan. The number of trails closed up north, nearly 1,700 miles. All right, that's it for the first hour of Local 4 Live, but there's so many more conversations to have at 9 o'clock. I'm heading to Rochester Hills to talk to the head coach of the women's basketball team over at Oakland University and how the WNBA is going to impact college athletes. Plus, as Metro Detroiters are heading to the beach, we're going to talk beach closures and what you need to watch out for. There's a map for that, too. Speaking of water, our senior medical producer, Sarah, is joining us to talk about the importance of keeping an eye on those kids while they're swimming. We'll be right back.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Welcome, everybody, to Local 4 Live. I'm Nick Monticelli. It's 9 o'clock on the dot, and we're in the home stretch as many of us head into the holiday weekend. But before we do, so much to cover here in the next hour. We're going to start with the big news of the week. The WNBA is coming back to Detroit. I caught up with the women's head coach, basketball coach at OU, to talk about the growing popularity of that sport. And if you're headed to the beach or up north for the 4th, most Most of the big construction projects in Michigan are being put on hold, but not all of them. We're going to tell you the areas that could still slow you down. And then in July, it is the worst month for drownings. It can happen so quickly and quieter than you might realize. Our senior medical producer is going to join us to talk about what you can do to try to keep the little ones safe. Also, if you are getting out of town or staying home this holiday weekend, I'm curious, how do you celebrate your holiday? Our question of the day is just that. What tradition do you and your family have for the 4th of July holiday? Just wait until you hear what Michelle's is. It's unbelievable. Scan the QR code on your screen or go to clickondetroit.com/vote to let us know exactly what your traditions are. Let's take a live look at Capitol Hill, where House Republicans are trying to pass President Trump's massive spending bill before the July 4th holiday. Early this morning, the GOP holdouts ended the long stalemates and voted to allow the spending bill to pass procedural hurdles. Speaker Mike Johnson hopes to hold that final vote sometime this morning without Democrat support. Republicans can only spare 3 votes. Most reluctant Republicans say they worry the bill could add trillions to the national debt. The final vote is expected to shape the future of Medicaid, border security, food stamps, and taxes for some people. You're looking now at Hakeem Jeffries, who has been up there speaking on a filibuster for hours, almost our entire show all morning long. President Trump is hoping to sign this budget bill sometime tomorrow. Today, 2 people are going to go before a judge in a disturbing case of child abuse where a 9-year-old boy died. Prosecutors are saying the boy's guardians, Sherman and Sapaquita Jones, covered up horrific abuse. The medical examiner found he died of untreated pneumonia. Prosecutors say Child Protective Services got multiple complaints, but nothing ever came of it. Both are due in court at 8:30. Also today, the defense and prosecution are expected to look over the case of a teacher accused of assaulting a teen. 54-year-old Nathan Tedford faces 2 counts of 4th-degree criminal sexual conduct after allegedly luring a teen into his home. Tedford worked at East English Village Prep Academy as a teacher and track coach. He's expected at court, was expected about 30 minutes ago. We'll see what happens during that hearing. Let's get to an update now on breaking news that we brought you yesterday morning. Detroit police are looking for a man who shot another man on a DDOT bus. I want to show you this photo here. Police believe the man shot another during this confrontation on Wednesday morning. The victim expected to be just fine, but they're still looking for the shooter and trying to understand why the shooting happened in the first place. If you have any information, call Detroit Police or Crime Stoppers. That number is 1-800-SPEAK-UP. You can remain anonymous. Also, a live look at LCA, Little Caesars Arena, or the Slice, as I like to call it. It's been an exciting week in Detroit after the WNBA announced women's basketball is coming back to Detroit. In 2029, they're going to be playing right there at LCA. I had an opportunity to talk to Arn Tellem, the vice chairman of the Pistons, about their presentation on how they convinced the WNBA to expand into Detroit. And now we're taking that conversation to the college level. I met up with Keisha Newell, who is the brand new coach of the OU women's basketball team, talking about what this means for the sport, her team, and women's athletics as a whole. We started with the announcement itself. What was your immediate thought?
Excitement.
Yeah?
Excitement for the city, for this Metro Detroit area, just to get back to that excitement. I was coming up in a time where Detroit Shock were amazing.
Right? Yeah, right.
Cheryl Ford, I just remember Swing Cash, Bill Lambier. It was just exciting time. So it's going to be amazing.
What does it do for you in terms of excitement for women's basketball as a whole? Not only to talk about your players and recruitment, but maybe get some more butts in the seat here at OU too.
Oh, absolutely. It means a lot, I think, for our players to have something to aspire to in their own city, and then just for the surrounding community to be able to have something else to support. They want to see our players potentially have that shot to make it professionally.
Has it been a challenge? I don't know if challenge is the right word, but maybe kind of discouraging when you've got some female athletes who are incredible athletes, but college is where they top off at for basketball. until, the league started picking up, and now we're back here in Detroit.
Yeah, it's sad, and a lot of our players, as you know, have to go overseas to make some decent money in this game. So it's great that the WNBA is expanding. We've been asking for it for a long time, and there has been growth. So now is the time, and I'm super excited it's in Detroit.
Yeah, so I mean, you talk about the growth of the league and the popularity, and some people call it the Caitlin Clark effect, but it's been going on much longer than her, and much longer after her too. What's it been like for you to watch that kind of surge in popularity over the past 5-10 years?
It's exciting because it's well overdue for sure, and I got to see firsthand, really good friends with Candace Parker, so just got to see her jersey retirement in LA, and she's a pioneer, and Caitlin Clark has done so much for the game, Angel Reese, Asia Wilson. I just think this level, this time of basketball right now is so exciting, and we got to ride the wave.
So what do you think it means for not only the league to look at Detroit and look at these bids and say, okay, Miami, Nashville, good cities, and I don't know the reason. I wasn't in the room, right? But I would like to believe that it was less of a business and money discussion and more of a fan base and support and where teams can thrive. What do you think?
Oh yeah, you see it with the Pistons when they have good teams. The stands
you see it
are
when
filled.
the Shock is killing
You see it
right?
with the Shock, exactly, for sure. So, and I think the growth of Detroit, Metro Detroit right now, they saw it. We see it every single day, and I think it'll be great from a money perspective and a business perspective, not just from a competitive perspective also.
We had an opportunity to talk to Arn Tellem, obviously vice chair of the Pistons, and he was talking about how it's been great to see the surge, not only of popularity, but of talent. Are you seeing more talent? Are you seeing more competitiveness from the girls that get to your program?
100%.
Yeah.
Because now these young women are starting at 5 years old with trainers, right? So they are so much more skilled. And I know coaches complain about they're not playing as much, they're just doing skill workouts, but they are so much more talented than when I was growing up, and I think we're going to continue to see
you don't want to put yourself out.
Yeah, I mean, I admit to it, right? I'm coaching them every day. I can see it. I was out playing on the blacktop, and they're in there working on moves every single day. So I think if we can combine the two, the game is going to continue to elevate.
Do you think, kind of as you mentioned earlier, a part of that is because they have something more to aspire to that keeps them here locally? Because I can't imagine, maybe, you've talked to the girls about it, but when a career takes you overseas, takes you away from your friends and your family, maybe that's not something they want to do.
For sure, absolutely. It helps for sure when you can have something to aspire to that's right outside of your door. And us getting the games, exposing them to that, getting to a practice to see the work that they put in, I think it just increases that level of inspiration on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so I'm sure you probably talked to a couple of your players and, former, current, maybe some recruits coming in. What are they talking about? What's the buzz?
Oh man, they just want to be a part of it as much as possible. And I'm talking season ticket holders, investing in the sport, trying to build it up, being a part of that first crew that can get those tickets. So we are super excited.
Are you kind of selfishly kind of hoping that there's a trickle-down effect too, and you might see more fans, more attendance, maybe a little more money coming into your program too?
100%. We could always use the resources.
I wanted to ask you, and if you don't want to talk about it, it's okay. But I'm sure you saw Sophie Cunningham's comments at this point.
You want to listen to your players too. Like, where do they want to play? Where are they going to get excited to play and draw fans? And I do think that Miami would have been a great one. Like, everyone loves Florida. Nashville is an amazing city. Kansas City, amazing opportunity. There's a huge arena downtown that no one's using. But man, I don't know how excited people are to be going to Detroit or Cincinnati.
From a coaching perspective, what's your reaction to that? And maybe what do you tell players who, if they have opinions, that's okay, but maybe things like that we don't say out loud because you're hurting feelings of other cities and potential teams.
Yeah, I think everyone has an opinion, they're entitled to it, right? But you're representing something more than yourself. So that's our conversation that we're having with our players. It's not just about you. If these opinions that you have affect our organization, then there's a problem. So we don't want to constrain them from their opinions. We talk about it collectively, but I think the thing is you're representing what's on the front of that jersey, and you got to make sure, it's a collective opinion as well.
And don't disparage Detroit. I mean, we're an awesome city, just because you don't know it.
Oh, for sure, for sure. We got to invite her here and show her.
There you go, yeah. I'm not sure how many people want at this point. Okay, so let's look at the future. It's 2029, WNBA back in Detroit. We don't know the name yet. It'll be electric. It's going to be fantastic. or are you able to use that energy to kind of build your team a little bit more?
100%.
Yeah.
Whatever they're doing, we're going to be a part of. We
Okay.
want to make sure we are in the gym. They want to see our faces. We're wearing our Oakland gear to their games. We want them to come here as well to see, you know, maybe they need facilities in the future. They're building it up, right?
Yeah,
So maybe they
someplace
can
to
come
practice,
to
maybe,
the
yeah.
practice facility to get some practices in. But we want to collaborate with everyone in the city, and it's just an amazing opportunity when it's women's basketball.
And looking at your roots too, I mean, this is home for you, right? I mean, does it mean a lot for you to see something like this back in the D?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. Just, again, coming to these games when I was growing up and seeing the growth of the game from back then to now is just special, and I'm so excited to be a part of it.
So let's go even younger then. 5-year-old little girls. Do you think this means something even at that young of an age if they get to see a female athlete that's killing it wearing a Detroit jersey?
Huge.
Is it a big effect?
Even more important to me, because
Really?
the older ones have been exposed to it now, right? So the younger ones growing up, I just remember if I could see a WNBA team when I was 5 years old, that's what I want to be. I've heard a couple interviews just of players like Candace Parker, who the league didn't come around until she was a certain age, right? And that's when the light bulb clicked for her. So now we can just push it as young as possible, getting them to games.
Has it been, I don't know if challenging is the right word, but frustrating when the women's basketball, women's sports in the league always seems to kind of play second fiddle? How do you wrap your mind around that and finally see, we had the shock, right? But finally see this kind of come to fruition for a second time?
It's tough. It is tough, and we deal with it on a day-to-day basis, but I think we have to keep fighting and keep advocating and keep making people know the product is there, and we see that. We get to people to games, and they're satisfied, they're coming back, they're buying season tickets, so we just got to keep fighting every single day.
So what I'm thinking then is that if there is a 5-year-old girl who's going to be amazing on the court, maybe she should be a Warrior or a Grizzly and then go straight to Detroit and play some ball there.
Let's do it. Let's sign them up. I got a 6-year-old right now, so I'm going to push it to her.
Sounds good. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate that.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
I will say I'm actually very excited to see what happens with OU because Keisha is the brand new coach just named in March of this year. So good things for the Grizzlies and the Warriors too. Still ahead, we're taking a closer look at the road closures travelers might need to know as they head out of town this holiday weekend. Well, if you're about to hit the road to go up north or head to the beach for Independence Day, the state is suspending construction and lifting traffic restrictions for about 60% of the projects. But that means you still might hit some road closures on your drive. Here are some of the bigger projects that remain in place. Eastbound 696 is still closed from the Lodge to 75 over in Oakland County. A reminder, though, the westbound lanes are open. I-75 will have just 2 lanes open in each direction between M15 and Clarkston and the Genesee County line. That could impact anybody heading up north. Over in Wayne County, there is one lane open at M14 and 996 between Beck and Levin Road. And there's more than a dozen other closures. You can read all of them on our homepage at clickondetroit.com. All right. There is clickondetroit.com, as you can see, live, right here on Local 4 Live. Ashley Barcy is now in the Nook looking at not only the forecast for Southeast Michigan, but why not all of Michigan? Because we're all going there.
Right. And so, I mean,
I'll be here.
Yeah, it's going to be a very summer-like 4th of July, meaning like seasonal temperatures today, but then we're cranking up the heat going into the weekend. If we're going to have any fireworks from Mother Nature, possibly Sunday, and it's all going to depend on where you are at that time.
Didn't you say like mid-afternoon to late evening-ish?
Would be the onset of this, but it'll start from north pushing to south.
Yeah.
And so if you are traveling up
It'll
north.
be chasing you as you drive back home.
Right, yeah. You want to try to beat it. And beat those orange barrels, too, that are out there. And I know that's always a tough part. But yeah, let's go ahead and get a check of your forecast. Weather headlines going into this long holiday weekend. We have an isolated chance for a sprinkler shower today. No severe threat. That was lifted from the Storm Prediction Center. So anything that bubbles up likely won't reach severe limits like some did closer to Saginaw yesterday. Heat and humidity will be on the rise, though, as we head into the weekend. And we could have a few storms by the tail end of the weekend that would impact your plans. As mentioned, it's going to probably be more of an afternoon event to our north and late evening Sunday night event as you get here towards Detroit. So right now, downtown Detroit, just a few thin high clouds mixing in, but overall blue skies across the area. 76 in the city, 74 in Ann Arbor, 73 in Pontiac, and Monroe reporting 75. We quickly rise and we'll be into the 80s before you know it. 87 is the forecasted high for today. Plenty of sunshine, so no matter what you're doing outside, don't forget the sunscreen or the sunglasses for that matter. Enjoy the fire pit this evening if you'd like. This is likely going to kind of kickstart this long weekend for folks because of tomorrow being a holiday and you having tomorrow off. So if you're going to be outside enjoying the evening, we'll be in the 80s through about 8 o'clock and then falling into the 70s. Sunset's after 9, but we will stay dry for maybe a little s'morecast tonight. But here's a look at a couple little blips on our future radar where you might get that sprinkle or two around 7 o'clock or so for portions of Washtenaw, Lenawee, or Monroe County. But that could even just be moisture in the cloud cover. So we stay dry for your 4th, which is great news. There is another blip there on our future cast for late Friday night, but that could be in the cloud cover. And even if it isn't, if there's a sprinkle that rolls through mid-Michigan, it's supposed to fizzle out by the time it works its way here into our area. So 4th of July plan for it to be a warm parade, but dry. Maybe grab the umbrella to kind of shade you from the sun, but 89 the high come the 4th of July. So some areas could touch 90. 80 though, by the time we have those firework displays going off across the metro area. Sunsets at 9:12 tomorrow and will be right around 80 degrees. So it'll be a warm one, but not as warm as what it'll be if they're grilling Saturday and Sunday. So 93 Saturday, 92 Sunday, heat and humidity soaring, and so it'll be toasty. But at least we're staying dry through Saturday with those chances not creeping until the very tail end of this holiday weekend. So there you go. You see that cold front approaching us from the west, sweeping down to the southeast. So this model pulling it in pretty late Sunday evening and through Sunday night. And so this could fluctuate a couple hours either direction as we get closer to Sunday. So you want to make sure you stay with your local 4 meteorologists as we will give you the latest update on the timing of that, because maybe that'll dictate what time you leave up north or what you're going to be doing around here on Sunday. And we just want to make sure you're prepared for it. Mid-80s next week in the wake of that cold front, which is where we should be this time of year.
You talked about how hot it could be while you're working over the grill.
Yeah.
I love watching or seeing some pictures or videos of dads in their grill game. Got like fans clipped onto the grill, just blowing them, and just feels great as they're working on it.
Like a mister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their hair is blowing.
The Beyonce effect.
All right, Ashley, thanks. Still ahead here on Local 4 Live. Let's take a live look in Traverse City, the Traverse City Bay there. If you're heading to the beaches this weekend, you might want to know which ones are open and safe to actually go into. We're going to show you exactly how you can find that out. A special website just for you when we come back. Welcome back to Local 4 Live. The Independence Day holiday is shaping up to be a hot and humid one, as Ashley was just saying. If you're planning to hit the beach, you might want to check if it's open. Here's a look at the Eagle website showing you all the beaches in Michigan and whether or not they are closed or safe to swim in. From algae blooms to harmful bacteria in the water, there's a number of factors that could close a beach. We have a link to the website on our website over on clickondetroit.com. We're also going to have a bigger breakdown on this website and why beaches close from Shante Passmore in our next half hour. Now let's go to one of the more frustrating parts of getting some concert tickets to see your favorite artist. The long waits to get into the online queue, then bots just buying up all the tickets and hiking up all the prices. The state legislature is trying to crack down on that. A bipartisan bill here in Michigan just passed the House, and it was inspired by one concert in particular.
Vintage tea, brand new phone, high heels on, cobblestones. When you are young, they assume you know nothing.
Well, they are calling it the Taylor Swift bill. It passed the House with a near unanimous vote. Earlier on the show, I talked to the sponsors of the bill, State Representative Mike Harris, who is a Republican from Waterford, and State Rep Mike McFall, who is a Democrat from Hazel Park. Here's just a quick snippet of that conversation. I know that most of you would like to see something finished by the end of summer, if not sooner. In your opinions, what are the holdouts? Why can't we get this budget passed right now? I'll start with you.
Sure. It's, budget time is always a contentious time. This year is not just an anomaly.
Right.
This is, it's always a lot of discussion. We're talking about huge amounts of money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, our current budget's $83 billion. When I first got into the legislature from police work, that just made me cringe. Dealing with that amount of money it's insane, really, when you look at it. So there's so many little pieces to this that really have to be worked through. Obviously, right now, the school aid budget is the big issue. Schools want to know how to get their budgets done, and they can't do that without some help from the state government. So it's a matter of trying to find consensus. Sometimes that's a very hard thing to do. The Republicans have put forth a plan that would do records amount for school funding, school pupil funding, $12,000 per student. We've never seen that before. Now, we've made some huge progress, we think, in how that is all set up. Mm-hmm. We've changed the process quite a bit. We've removed some categoricals and then put the money into the hands of the local school boards so they can determine what is best for their district, their region, instead of the state mandating more and more.
So, okay, now the other, Mike, now that there's one more important than the other here.
Right.
Reading some articles, it sounds like most Dems are pretty strongly opposed to the GOP's version of the education bill because there are some key items in there that discuss gender-neutral bathrooms and transgender athletics, and I think that may be some of the key sticking points here.
Those are some of the key sticking points. Keeping the cultural politics out of the budget process would be ideal. So that isn't something that we're in support of. We want to make sure that we continue on with the free lunches and the free breakfast for students because we know that students learn better when they have full bellies. And they're not concerned about food. We want to make sure that the mental health resources are still remain intact for our students because we know still coming out of COVID, even though it's been a few years, I mean, there's a lot of students that are still struggling, So those are some of the key aspects that we want to make sure are included in the budget process.
Okay, so where are our sticking points then, which we kind of started talking about here, but what do each of you on both sides of the aisle here need to do to get this to the finish line or get at least to a point where you feel like there was enough compromise?
Well, this is where Mike and I probably are thankful we're not on the appropriation side. We're on the policy side, right?
Yeah,
it's, a lot of these negotiations take place, and they're I don't want to call it secretive, but they're amongst the negotiators, right? So a lot of these things, in negotiations, they move here, they move there. And there's so many moving pieces. It's really hard for us to know all the details of exactly where we're at right now, right? But I can tell you those continue to move. I was disappointed. I think the House has done a great job in working on this. I was a little disappointed that the Senate, ended session on Tuesday, and we were ready to stay pretty much all night and keep hammering this out.
That was my next question for you. Is there a sense of urgency in Lansing, understanding that our K through 12s right now are kind of flailing around, not understanding what their budgets are going to be, especially because the two versions of the education funding are so drastically different right now?
They are. And again, it's not unusual, right? I mean, we usually end up, when we first submit bills in the budget process, it's anybody that's done negotiations, there's usually this side and this side, and eventually at the end of it, you find consensus in the middle, right?
But it would be nice, at least for those superintendents and school boards, to understand what their numbers are, because their fiscal year starts on Tuesday.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, there is a sense of urgency, but it's that meeting in the middle and an agreement that that still needs to come obviously together. But
do we just lock everybody in a room and throw away the key then?
Yeah. That's how we do it in police work, right? Sometimes I feel like I want to bring more of my policing side into this, and I just bring all the parties together in a room and have food brought in and just stay there and duke it out and get it done.
Happens.
Right. Yeah. Stay there until it's done.
Yeah. Okay. Representatives, thank you so much for your time on this Thursday morning. Have a safe holiday week.
You too.
And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
And good luck with the Taylor Swift bill.
Thank you.
I'm sure a lot of people care about that.
We can't shake it off anymore.
And those bots just need to calm down.
Well, obviously, that was a conversation about the budget battle in Lansing. We also had an opportunity to talk about that Taylor Swift bill and how they are eliminating red tape and giving opportunity to the state AG to allow them to go after some of the bad actors there. You can watch that conversation on our YouTube page and click on Detroit.com. When we come back here, we're going to get in some more headlines, including a popular restaurant chain that used to be known as the place where a kid could just be a kid. Now Ashley can just be Ashley. We're going to branch out to where adults can be adults. Oh, welcome back to Local 4 Live here at 9:30 on your Thursday. Kraft Heinz is recalling more than 367,000 pounds of fully cooked Oscar Mayer turkey bacon products, possibly contaminated with listeria. The USDA is warning the affected turkey bacon was sold in 12, 36, and 48-ounce packages at retailers nationwide. There have been no confirmed reports of anybody getting sick. So far, though, the Public Health Agency is urging consumers to throw it away or return it to the place of purchase, wherever you bought it, for a refund. A full recall information is on the USDA's website. Well, it is farewell to Freevee TV. Amazon announcing it's going to discontinue its standalone free streaming TV service next month as it looks to consolidate its content offerings under Prime Video. Freevee launched in 2019 underneath IMDb. The film and TV site Amazon bought it in 1998. It offered a stable of free ad-supported videos, including original series and some Prime Video content, primarily through an app. Going forward, Amazon says users can access free shows and movies on Prime Video without buying a subscription to Amazon's Prime loyalty program.
Are now horrified by the attack on clean energy jobs, and the clean energy economy.
Be some filibuster over in D.C. And now we're looking at Belleville. A live look at the water. Still ahead on our next half hour, we should be talking about safety and ways you can prevent your little ones from drowning in the water. We'll also talk to Ashley about your Independence Day forecast. All of that when we come back.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Local 4 Live. I'm Nick Monticelli. Thank you for watching. Let's take a live look at Capitol Hill right now, where House Republicans are trying to pass President Trump's massive spending bill. Hakeem Jeffries has been speaking for 3.5 hours nonstop. Early this morning, the GOP holdouts ended the long stalemate, allowing the spending bill to get past some procedural hurdles, and he's still going. Mike Johnson hopes to hold the final vote sometime this morning. Without Democrat support, Republicans can only spare 3 votes. Most reluctant Republicans say they worry the bill could add trillions to the national debt. The final vote is expected to shape the future of Medicaid, border security, food stamps, taxes, and more for some people. President Trump is hoping to sign that bill by tomorrow. Ashley Barassi has joined me in the Nook. The story we didn't get to talk about was how Chuck E. Cheese is adding an adult arcade into the area, which I think some adults could be very excited about.
Where an adult can be a kid.
Oh. Sometimes I'm always a kid. I don't know if I need an excuse. I just do it anyway.
Right. But, have you been in a Chuck E. Cheese in recent years?
It's been a hot minute.
It's so different from when we were kids.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
it's pretty much like
the pizza
a kid
has
arcade.
changed, but
Right. But the animatronics and the ball pits and all that, is
Yeah.
gone. I mean, it's
Yeah.
more of an arcade for kids, these days. So
I think I do miss the animatronics.
You
weren't scared? You weren't scared?
I like to see Chuck E. Cheese come out and visit everyone, and I can deal with.
Oh.
I can put the.
One of my children have very, very horrific memories of Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh no!
Scared the living daylights out of them.
Some people have that with clowns. One of your kids, Chuck E. Cheese.
Chuck E. Cheese. That's it.
All right. Well, hopefully everyone's walking away with some good memories this weekend. We got a great forecast for your 4th of July. And if you're heading out camping this weekend across anywhere in lower Michigan, plan for it to be hot and sunny tomorrow. Green light for camping. Saturday as well to be hot and humid. So just find ways to stay cool and hydrated. But Sunday, we're looking at a chance for storms that are going to move from the northwest to the southeast. So if you are traveling north up towards Mackinac, Traverse City, that area of lower Michigan, those storms will arrive there first before making their way to Metro Detroit. Detroit. So it all has to do with the timing and the location of where you're going to be. But we also want to help prepare you for the pesky bugs this time of year with the skeeter meter. So here in Metro Detroit, we will have likely moderate to high levels of mosquitoes throughout the holiday weekend. You start to see a little more of a surge in Alpena for Saturday and Sunday. Now there could be an uptick in Mackinac Island on Saturday, but otherwise just like moderately high. And then the worst area for mosquitoes with the forecast is Traverse City, actually. So for Friday all the way through your Sunday, but much better as you work your way down the lake towards Muskegon, where there should be some lower levels for those mosquitoes. So if you are heading out to the west side of the state, you might not get bit as much as other areas. So use the repellent safely, of course. Now let's look at lake temperatures, because the farther south you go, you are looking at those water temperatures in the 70s. In fact, Lake Erie, our warmest at 77 degrees. So boating weather looking really nice. We'll take a closer look at that cold front and how that impacts the up north forecast in here in southeast Michigan for Sunday. And that's coming up in just a few minutes in your full forecast.
All righty. Thank you so much, Ashley. Well, you know, this weekend, so many of you are going to spend time in the water, whether it's the lake or a pool. It is very important to stay safe. So July typically has the highest number of drowning deaths. Here's a look at some numbers. In 2023, 760 people died in drownings. That was in 2023 alone. In 2022, that number was higher, 790. Drowning is the leading cause of death for children between the ages of 1 and 4. That prompted Local 4's senior medical producer, Sarah Mayberry, to write an article over on clickondetroit.com. She says that drownings can happen to even the most careful of families. Sarah is live in the Nook now, as you see the article she wrote right there. I wanted to ask you a couple things. First of all, I think what's kind of frustrating about this is that almost all drownings are preventable.
For the most part.
For the most part, right? And that's where it gets, challenging, because we feel like it's a common sense thing. I think a lot of people have this false sense of security that they're strong swimmers and nothing bad's going to happen. But it does. And I don't want to beat people over the head with this hammer that, be safe. But I guess we have to, because look at the numbers.
Well, and to be fair, I think Hollywood has done us a disservice when it comes to drowning, because we have this image in our mind that it's this flailing and screaming and that you have this opportunity to be rescued. Yeah. And full disclosure, I was a lifeguard and water safety instructor before I came to this field, and most drownings happen quietly and quickly. And so it's seconds. Yeah. It's a bad decision. It's not knowing the conditions of where you're swimming, or most often with kids, it's lack of supervision.
Sure. So let's start with the kids then. We consistently talk about having the alarms on your doors or making sure the gates are closed around the pools. But when you talk about how it can happen in seconds, it truly is seconds, right? I mean, you can turn your back for a moment and a child can drown.
Yeah, I'll share an experience from our own life. So we were at a neighbor's pool with my kids when they were younger, and there were 4 adults. We were all sitting there right by the pool, just right by the pool. And I'm watching my son, who was about 3, and he was in swim lessons since he was 4 months old.
Okay.
He could swim, and I'm watching him, and he's standing along, the edge of the pool that, they have a lip that goes around the pool, and he's on that, and he's playing with a toy. And I'm looking at him, and there's a toy, and it slips just out of his reach.
Yeah.
And he reaches for it. And he goes out into the pool, and I'm waiting. He goes down, and I'm waiting for him to bounce back up and swim back, and he doesn't. And I'm standing up, and I wasn't wearing a swimsuit. I'm starting to run around the pool to get. Right. I realize I cannot go around the pool, so I go in, shoes and all.
Okay.
Pull him back up, and he was fine. But the kids swimming in the pool with him never realized anything was wrong until
really?
I jumped in the pool. He never made a sound. He just went under. And what could have been tragic was just a scary incident.
Sure.
But in my head, I'm like, what if we hadn't been looking at the pool at that moment?
Right.
What if we had gone in to get the food? What if I'd been looking at my phone? Like, it happened that fast.
So how did that change everything for you in the future? Were you terrified of water, or were you just more cognizant of it?
Being a lifeguard, you develop a very healthy respect for water.
Yeah.
And we've done lots of stories, too, on drownings. And I think you see the common patterns. I mean, swim lessons are no substitute for supervision when it comes to kids. You just have to someone has to be assigned to watch them because kids will do things one day that they couldn't do before.
Yeah.
One day they can't open a gate, the next day they can.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I've been to a couple of kids' birthday parties over the past couple
Oh.
of years, and the parents have hired lifeguards.
Mhm.
And my initial thought years ago was, wow, that seems over the top. No. It isn't. It
No.
really is not.
Parties are one of the most dangerous situations because everyone thinks someone else is watching the kids.
Right.
And you get a lot of kids in a pool, the visibility in a pool goes to nothing because they're all jumping and splashing. And so every party should have someone who is only watching the kids.
Right.
Not fixing the food,
Yep.
not doing
Yep.
this or taking
Not
pictures.
making the margaritas,
watching
yeah,
the
yeah.
kids. And when you talk about adults, there's going to be plenty of adults going in the lakes. Alcohol is the #1 factor in drownings. We're not good swimmers when we drink alcohol. We don't make good choices.
Right.
But also knowing the conditions, you know.
So, okay, speaking of that, currents are unbelievable in the fact that most people don't know how strong they are and can pull even the most experienced swimmers away.
Yes. Currents in the Great Lakes are insane, and they are a huge factor in drownings. But even being out on a lake when the wind comes up, when you're trying to swim against the wind, it's hard.
Yes.
And that's where having that life jacket on is great.
It's one of those things, and we had a conversation earlier in this week about, yes, the life jackets aren't the cool thing
They
to
are
wear.
They are not cool.
But who cares at this point? It's probably hard to get the teenagers to wear one, or even the adults, but that's going to save your life.
Yeah, and I will say, so we were at a lake in Missouri 2 weekends ago now, and my 13-year-old was like going out on the lake, and I had him take a life jacket.
Yeah.
I mean, he wore it because, you know what? It also made him more visible in this lake.
Speaking of visibility, there's been studies, and I think you wrote an article or part of one where the color of the swimsuit actually matters.
Huge difference in light blue, like pastel colors that people like for swimsuits.
Yeah.
You put that swimsuit on the bottom of a pool and see if you can see it.
Right.
You can't.
Right.
You want to look like a traffic cone. I mean, put your kids in like bright orange.
High vis.
Yeah, bright neon colors,
Yeah.
like things that really stand out. It makes a huge difference. We did a huge test at a pool a few summers ago. It was incredible, the difference it made.
All right, so there's actually a big Go For It event coming up that has to do all about this and water safety and drowning. It's going to be at U of M Dearborn. Kind of give us the basics of what people can learn.
So the Red Cross has created a course just for us that is a sampler of all sorts of first aid. So we're going to talk about water safety. They're going to talk about how to care for those cuts and scrapes properly, how to use an EpiPen, how to save someone who's choking. They're going to provide a wealth of information in 50 minutes. You can sign up for times throughout the day, but please sign up, come join us.
Yes.
It's going to be an awesome class, and you will be prepared to handle some of these situations.
We should point out, because I know there was some frustration at one of our other events, that you will not get certification at this one.
This is not, they offer lots of certification classes. Those are much longer and more intense.
Right.
This is a sampler. This will leave
It's like
you
an
feeling more
appetizer of
prepared.
things you can do.
Absolutely, but you will learn real stuff that's very useful.
And one thing that I learned at one of our events is that the hands-only CPR is, I don't want to use the word easy, right? It can be
It is
difficult,
easy.
but I guess it is easy, right?
It is easy. I mean, you are literally just pushing hard and fast in the
Right,
center of someone's
right.
chest.
And
I mean,
even
it's
that-
physical,
Right,
but it is.
that's what I meant, yes.
It is so easy to learn now.
And that could save somebody's life too. Yeah. Sarah, thank you so much. We're going to have you in the Nook more often. Welcome to the Nook.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much. When we come back, more tips on what you need to know if you're traveling this holiday weekend, from the best times to actually hit the road to what the gas prices could or could not be. Welcome back to Local 4 Live. If you're getting ready to head off on a long weekend, you could be a part of a new travel record. Although I will tell you, every time we talk about travel numbers, it always seems like we're breaking a record every single time. So sometimes I'm hesitant to see what the numbers actually reflect. But according to AAA, they are estimating more than 72 million people will travel 50 miles or more this week, which is a new record. The Auto Club predicting most people will be driving to their destination, with roughly 62 million people on the roads. Now, if you're wondering when the roads will be the busiest, we've passed that hurdle already, one of them anyway. The first busiest road travel time was yesterday between noon and 9 p.m., so almost all day long. The next busiest time on the road is actually Sunday the 6th between noon and 6 p.m., so good news there. If you're heading out to the airport, make sure to arrive early, as 18.5 million people are expected to fly between today and Monday, July 7th. Now, let's talk about the gas prices as they have been on your screen for a moment here. Here's what's going to cost to fill up. The current price for regular is $3.19. That's actually down 13 cents from last week and 43 cents from last year during the 4th of July travel period. Now, if you're heading out to the beaches this weekend, there's something you should know about them as well. Which beaches are actually open, which ones are closed because of bacteria. Shantae Passmore has more on how you can actually track them from your home before you head to the beach.
Hey, good morning, Nick. Certainly some good news here from Longshore Beach here in Novi. Just yesterday, the city announced that the beach is reopened to the public just in time for that long holiday weekend. And you might be wondering, well, why is she set up out on the grass and not actually on the shore? Couple of things. We're a bit too early. The beach actually opens at 10 o'clock this morning. So why was it closed to begin with? Well, data reports high bacteria levels from storm water runoff. Records also showed the beach has closed 4 times since 2015, again for the same reason, high bacteria levels. And this is the time of the year where people long for those pure Michigan summers, including our beaches. So the next time you're thinking about hitting the sand, check out Eagle's Beach Guard. It's basically this beach monitoring system, an interactive map showing test results from local departments. So if I was thinking about heading to St. Clair Shores Memorial Park Beach, I would find it's open, but with a contamination advisory. We can see the Macomb County Health Department tests often, sharing those results with the public to give up-to-date information. In fact, it's such a helpful tool. We actually have a clickondetroit.com article for you to check out, which lets you know how to find out when Michigan beaches are open this summer. And Nick, I don't know what you're doing after your morning show, but I could certainly use the company. Sending it back over to you.
Don't have to tell me twice. Shantae, thank you so much. When we come back, Ashley is going to look at our forecast, maybe even some water temperatures because they're pretty nice right now. Plus a live look over in Traverse City this morning, the annual tradition that still has some pretty serious competition left. We're going to take a live look over in Traverse City this morning. It's been a very busy weekend as thousands of people have gone into town for the National Cherry Festival. I'm surprised Director Nick isn't there right now. Oh, you're going on Sunday. Okay, good stuff. Well, still to happen before the festival wraps up on Saturday. This is happening. They've got to get some very important competitions in. We're talking about both the kids and the adult cherry pie eating contest. Oh. That's why Nick is leaving us. That's it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The festival needs to crown a cornhole champion, and tomorrow night their 4th of July fireworks. Now, Ashley earlier talked about her watermelon eating contest.
Yeah.
I think I might fare better in a cherry pie eating contest.
Yeah. They also have like the Cherry Queen up there, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that's a really big deal. Like
It's a
the
huge
women have
thing
to
for
go
them.
through a
Yes,
lot.
yeah.
And it's very prestigious.
It's almost like Miss Michigan, but not quite.
Something like that. No, I don't know. But give me the cherry pie.
Oh, I'll take all the cherry pie.
I know.
Ooh, what about like a cherry chocolate ice cream right now?
Okay. I swear, Nick just has this like big kid like mindset when it comes to snacks.
I'm
and
telling you,
food.
listen, I had an energy drink before the show started, and my mind is just like, gone. Yeah, it's okay. We're 9 minutes away from a show being over and the holiday starting.
Yes, we're there. That's the vibe for sure. Let's go ahead and take a look outside because some folks might be trying to catch a flight out of town today, and you can see some of those airplanes moving around the terminal there at Detroit Metro, where we sit at 75, 73 in Pontiac, 77 in Grosse Ile, 73 in Port Huron. Now, I know this is more of a kind of road travel holiday for folks in Michigan, a lot going to the west side of the state and north. But if you are catching a flight out of state, I wanted to point something out that Dallas reporting a ground stop for about, I think they said actually 10 o'clock Central time. So that's going to be for another hour that we're looking at that. So if you have a flight going down towards Dallas into Texas, check your flight status. And then a couple moderate delays down into Florida at Miami and Orlando airports there. So just wanted to bring you up to speed on a couple things that we're tracking within our system there. Up north forecast, we'll start here and then we'll travel north. So we're going to be hanging tight on either side of 90 throughout the weekend and some late storms possible on Sunday. Otherwise, as we travel north towards Alpena, mid-70s tomorrow for the 4th, but then soaring to 90 on Saturday and then closer to 80 on Sunday with the storm chances building in. Mackinac Island will be in the lower 70s tomorrow, then low 80s Saturday, back into the 70s Sunday with shower and storm chances Sunday, which you'll see that's the theme all across lower Michigan. And then temperatures are in the upper 80s Friday in Traverse City, low 90s Saturday, and then that cold front will drop us back to upper 70s on Sunday. So I don't know if you picked up on that pattern, but no matter where you're at in lower Michigan, it's going to be the warmest on Saturday and storm chances Sunday. That's the takeaway. Belleville, I'm surprised we don't see folks on the water right now.
Right?
I mean, we've seen folks on the Detroit River this morning, and here we are, this beautiful lake in Belleville.
I think I see one little boat down there.
Maybe.
Maybe just one little one.
Yeah, one little tiny one. But calm conditions out there, and we're sitting in the 70s across the area. So here's a look at your hourly forecast as we rise to 87 this afternoon. If you're looking for something to do, golf wouldn't be a bad thing if you can get a tee time. But yeah, it's going to be a nice, beautiful day. We have blue skies up above Windsor right now, and I guess I'm just like trickling in these like current temperatures and all these graphics. So here's an isolated rain chance this afternoon. You blink, you miss it, mainly for Washtenaw and Lenawee counties. The rest of us getting a ton of sunshine. And here's a look at that hour by hour real quickly. That's that little blip I was talking about around 7, some cloud cover, and then Friday's dry, a little bit of moisture off to our west, and that's likely just in the form of clouds and fizzles out as it works its way here in southeastern Michigan. And so the 4th of July forecast, it's going to be hot. Humidity is going to be on the rise, but at least those parades and the firework displays will be dry. We'll be close to 90 for the afternoon high and likely getting there Saturday and Sunday. Those rain chances arrive late Sunday, going into Monday, and then that takes us back into seasonal 80s next week.
I love it. That's a good holiday forecast.
It really is. I mean, sure, could it be a couple degrees cooler Saturday and Sunday, but I would much rather be like that and find ways to stay cool in the summer heat.
I'm always a glass half full kind of guy.
Than it be a rain out, you know? Yeah.
I was waiting for it to pick up on it.
Goodbye.
Speaking of it, Ashley is getting up because Kim DeJulio is popping into the hook to talk about what's coming up on Live in the D in just a moment. Welcome back to Local 4 Live. You send them, we show them. That's how My Picks works. Let's show this one. Oh, we don't have any My Picks. Things have changed. I'm going to scroll down on my rundown. I'm going to go straight to, it says, Just Kim.
Just Kim.
Just Kim.
That's all you need in this show, right?
Just Kim. What's that show from?
Live in the D. That's no. Yeah.
No, I can't. I'm blanking.
What is it about?
Oh,
somebody named Kim.
It's the S Creek.
Oh, I love that show.
Right?
Yeah.
And wasn't that part of it? Was
Can't
like
we say the name here?
I don't know.
It's streaming. We're good.
I don't know. Anyway, the more important show, Live in the D.
That's
What's
right.
going up?
Wait, what is her name in that show? I know what you're saying. It's just
right.
Yeah.
I'm drawing such a blank now. This is about
Me too. I gotta look that up.
What is it? Alex? Is Alex? No.
Yes.
Is it Alex?
I haven't watched the show in a long time. But anyway, back to Live in the D. I'm excited because we are talking about 4th of July.
Okay.
Obviously.
Is
It's
that
coming
coming
up.
up? Is it?
Yes, it's tomorrow. Do you ever go to like a friend's house who does like a fireworks show?
So yeah, the neighbors actually do something like in the street, right in the middle of the neighborhood. Like everybody just kind of sits around and watch. Probably too close.
I was gonna say, I feel like maybe it's because we've worked in news for too long that stuff gives us anxiety, right?
It does.
Because we hear the bad stories.
I'm always talking about safety. I'm like, it's fine. I'm like, but it's not.
No, but we're like, did you remember last year?
Right?
The year before?
Where's your bucket? Where's the hose? I know.
So we are going to be talking about fireworks safety
Good.
today.
Okay.
Just if you plan on having your own fireworks show.
Yeah.
Personally, I like to keep it to the professionals. Obviously, we just had the amazing show on the Detroit River.
I saw a hat that said "Fireworks Professional. If I run, you run."
That is very cute. Also, cake decorating.
Oh.
We're doing like a little segment on that today. I don't know if you get this on your algorithm, but whenever I am scrolling through like TikTok or Instagram Reels, for some reason, I always stop on the cake decorating. I'm mesmerized by it.
Are you any good at it?
No. That's probably why I'm like mesmerized by it and it just keeps showing up on my feed. But we're going to be doing cake decorating on the show today.
So we get to watch you fail?
All you want to do is eat cake, probably.
Listen, you've had ice cream. I never get any of it. You had tacos.
Okay, I invited you to the show. I was like, come by.
That is
and
fair.
Where were you? Probably at home napping. But no, a great show, and we're just getting ready for the 4th of July weekend.
I love it.
Yes.
Good to have you back. Thanks,
Thank
Kim.
you.
All right, make it a great Thursday, everybody, and enjoy your Independence Day holiday and weekend, but do it safely, please.